Hello.
Are you all having wonderful Mother's Days? Oh, Phil, you're here. Stasha's gonna be so sad she's not coming tonight. Hello, Phil. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? One second.
We'll get started in about a minute since it is now 5:30 my time, 8:30 for some people, or 6:30 or 7:30, depending on where you are.
Okay, got my headset working. Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm pretty good, thank you. You said Stasha isn't going to be able to make it tonight?
It's Mother's Day, so she's being celebrated by her 3 wonderful daughters today.
Well, that is just as good. And while I'm sad to miss her, I hope she's having a good time with them.
I do believe she's having a great day. I told her that she should establish 1 day a month Mother's Day forever.
She deserves it.
Yes.
She definitely does.
Alrighty. So we'll go ahead and get started since it is now 1 after. And
I think we
know.
should wait a second because it seems like there's a whole bunch of people that are just starting to join.
Oh, okay, cool. I don't have the participants window open. My B.
Yeah, we've only got 15 in here so far.
I know,
although it is Mother's Day, so I
There's
expect us to have a smaller crowd.
Hello.
Hello. Oh yeah, people are rolling in now. All right.
Hi, Brenna.
Hi. Who
Hi,
says hello? Is it Eileen?
Who else is on here? Hi, Colleen. Oh, there's Hugh. Who else is on here? Catherine. Oh, Ray. Trickle up. Who else? Angelo. What's going on? I see so many new people. Hi, Chelsea. Hey, Nick.
Hi, Eileen.
Yay, new people. Okay. Hi, everybody.
We are also live on YouTube.
Ooh, hi, everybody on the YouTubes. Oh, my goodness.
All right. Are we going to start now? People are slowly trickling in now.
Yeah, I think it's slowed down, so.
Okay, cool. I'll go ahead and start sharing my screen. And welcome all to our Mother's Day version of the Humanity First Movement's weekly Sunday volunteer meeting. There's a link in the chat. I will drop it once more. So you all can, oh, never mind. Andrew just did it. Perfect. Thanks, Andrew. Let's go ahead and get started. So the agenda for tonight, we'll review the format of this meeting. We changed it about 2 months ago, maybe, but we'll just run over it really quickly for everybody else that hasn't been on yet. We'll do an overview of what this group is for anybody that is new. We'll hear some reports from working groups, hear from our coalition spotlight, get an update from the board, and then we'll have plenty of time at the end for open discussion. After the end of this call officially concludes, which is we cap it at 1 hour, so in 56 minutes from now, then it turns into a hang, so y'all can hang out and chat and do your thing. But the format for this meeting, we try to start 1 minute after just to respect everybody's time. Each working group will have 3 to 5 minutes to present. A time warning will be given at the 4-minute mark. Do we have a timekeeper for tonight? Is somebody willing to do that? I'll be timekeeper too. And then there'll be open comment and question period at the end. During that time, we'll be sticking to about a 1 minute per person, just so we can get through as many questions as possible, and we can always circle back to you if we have extra time at the end. So who are we? What are we? This is a group that emerged from the Yang 2020 volunteer leaders. So we've got regional organizers and other leaders from different groups that were active during the campaign. We have partnered with Humanity Forward to help to grow their grassroots movement and provide some support while also laying the groundwork for a potential run in 2024. So every single week we have a Sunday Zoom call so you can all connect, we can hear what's going on in different organizations and see where you can get started with some work if you are new. And then we have our Slack, which was the Yang 2020 volunteer Slack, just recently renamed the Humanity First Movement Slack. So you can always join us there, get involved in some working groups and other programs as well. There's also a nice long Medium post about who we are. One thing to note is we do have a volunteer code of conduct, which you can review. We ask that all of our volunteers uphold the same standards so that we can be a unified Humanity First movement. So if you are participating in our Slack, if you are participating in any of our volunteer programs, we just hope that you will maintain these same values. So please review those. Check them out. They're good. They're mostly based on what was in the campaign. Slight edits, but it's very similar. So we'll kick it off to mission and vision for the first presentation of the night.
I think that I might be, I don't know if I saw anyone else from Mission Vision.
Cool.
Yeah,
Take
just
it away.
go ahead.
Okay, cool. So Mission Vision this week, we sent out a survey the previous week asking about what the most important things to the group regarding who we are, who we serve, and how we serve them. Oh, Ian's waving his hand, so I can let Ian speak.
Sorry, I had unmute turned off.
Yes.
So we have basically, I think, 3 bullets on the next slide. We're going to keep it super brief. So we're making really good progress towards developing a mission statement. We took all the feedback we shared last week and we started crafting, and we're doing some revising this week. We're planning to bring a short list to this group on Sunday next week. We're a little bit behind schedule, but we're rocking and rolling. And I say peace out. Come join us on Saturday.
Awesome. Thank you, Ian. All right, diversity, inclusion, and outreach.
I can do that. I think Kiara is traveling right now.
Cool. Thank you.
So basically, there's some ongoing work in there where we're creating feedback surveys, and definitely invite folks to take the diversity and inclusion surveys if they haven't already, posting those in the chat. We're researching unconscious bias, and we're working on a larger project that's really kind of growing really nicely called Project Connect and Learn. This got started, if you go to the next slide, we can talk a little bit more about it. So basically, this got started because we were looking at the postmortems, the different communities were doing basically all throughout the campaign, like, oh, if only the campaign would do this, that, the other, we could really, this grow 10x goal that we have. So we've started, there's a presentation that we did from the African-American subcommunity, American Descendants of Slavery, that Kiara put forward, and I will put the link in the chat, but it's a good example of what each of these groups are doing. And our last meeting, we had a fabulous collection of people talking about, Americans living with disabilities, disability advocates, and then also conservatives within the Yang Gang. So that list that was on the prior slide, these are kind of all the kind of subgroups within the Humanity First movement that are starting to research, what have we done in the past that did or did not communicate effectively with the community? And then what existing national agendas do they have? And where is there a good policy overlap with the Humanity First, Andrew Yang policies? And then we're also looking for potential guests to suggest to Andrew Yang's Yang Speaks podcast, who would be a good match, data-driven, about moving the country forward. So we want to make like a set of playlists of these presentations and then send it up as a proposal to humanity/Yang Speaks, and basically learn how to better connect and spread our ideas much further in the country, plus also be better partners with other organizations. All right, thanks. So come join us in Diversity and Inclusion Slack channel if you want to join this.
Awesome. Thank you, Catherine. And then just a reminder, before you start speaking, I didn't do a good job of this. If you can introduce yourself so people know who you are. My name is Brenna. Ian presented for Mission and Vision, and Catherine for Diversity, Inclusion, and Outreach. So we have organization management now.
I think I will be taking that again. So this is Catherine again. So you might have noticed that onboarding has kind of cleaned up what happens when new folks come in. The Greet bot welcomes them, sends them to this All Start Here channel, which clearly directs them to like the new channels that we have. So now the people are starting to show up in these working groups. We're asking folks to have 2 pinned posts within all of their channels, which are a welcome post and a state of the channel, so that as people show up, you can say, hey, read these 2 posts, and it will just help people onboard much more quickly. And then our decision science came back with 2 pieces of work that we want to share with you all. One is about the election that's coming next. So if you want to switch to the next slide. Okay, so because we are having folks vote from Thursday to Sunday for the board election that's happening next Sunday, the pre-registration form is now open. So this is this tiny URL that's highlighted. So the key thing is that when you pre-register to vote, you use the same email that you're going to vote with when we send that out to you on Thursday. So this is the timeline. There's still time for candidates to finish their submissions and get those in tonight by midnight Pacific time. So then tomorrow we will release the full list of, at this link. If you go to that link right now, it just says come back tomorrow. But that will be the full list of all the candidate statements. And then folks have from Monday to Thursday to read and review those. And then everyone that pre-registered, we will send them the voting form. And so folks can pre-register all the way up till Sunday, the 17th at noon Pacific time. But, why wait? You're going to have read about them. So just pre-register right now. And then on the national meeting, that's at same time next week, 15 minutes into that meeting, voting will close. So basically folks can register to vote up till noon Pacific time that day. But if they just come into the meeting next week at 8:30, they will not be able to vote, because we want people to be able to read all the candidate statements and process that beforehand. Also, if candidates cannot attend next week, they are not eligible. So even if everyone votes for them, if they're unable to be here next Sunday, we decided that, whether it's a last minute thing or a planned thing, there's going to be another board selection coming up on the 28th of June. We're just definitely rolling through board members, as this is, 5 are changing over at this time, 6 will be changing over in June. I mean, basically anyone that wants to be a board member, pretty much, we're going to go through board members because it's such an aggressive time commitment. And, we're just growing this movement. So one thing I'll point out is that last week we said that we would be able to present the candidate statements in random order, but we weren't able to implement that. So that's like a small detail. All right, thanks. Oh, and so then this is the work for the decision science group came back because they were dealing with the big question of where does our authority come from? And we had several meetings over several weeks. And then the final meeting was like a 4-hour drafting session. So the statement on the left is kind of the present working state of our organization. And then the statement on the right is a call basically for a convention where we're going to, in this particular Slack channel, the OM convention, Organization Management Convention Slack channel, we're going to get together and, have a convention to create, our national organization. And very interestingly, Arizona just went through this process. And so we're going to have a conversation about how did theirs go, how might ours go, what's different, and just help build our national organization. So if you're excited about that, come join us in the OM Convention Slack channel.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Catherine.
Sure.
So on to comms.
Hey everyone, I'm Yenny. I'm one of the interim board members and a member of the comms group. Mostly speaking for Brendan Carpenter today because he is away because Mother's Day. But so we've figured out our scope in terms of what we're going to be doing as a group. We're going to be curating a newsletter, the calendar, website, social media, emails, everything that you can think of under social media, communications stuff pretty much falls under us. But we're focusing at first on social media and the website, and then we'll be adding newsletter as our following thing we're expanding to do. We're looking for people to be our affiliates or partners on different platforms. Humanity Forward Discord is going to be the first one. We're also looking for people to help on Facebook, on Twitter, and we'll be looking for other platforms in the future as well. And we've launched a sub-channel to have that place for social media folks and content producers to collaborate.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Yenny. So on to working group tech.
All right, I'm doing like half the presentations tonight. It's Catherine again. So reporting for Working Group Tech, exciting news. Our Humanity First Movement website is going to be live in the next 2 weeks. So a super big thank you to Ari and all the other people who are working on this. So we are updating the Yang Near Me map for the new website so folks can find their local Humanity First Movement chapters. So, we need to make sure that all the states connect with the regional organizing working group, which is updating this information so that when folks go to the website, they can find their locals. So that is a huge project. And then future plans, we're looking to offer subdomains to the states. So it would be like your state abbreviation .hfmovement.org. And so states can choose, do they want to use like the templated website, and or do they just want that to redirect to a website they've already built? So that's coming down the pike. An organizational G Suite has been implemented, and so we're working on emails and transferring Humanity First assets that live on people's personal Google Drive accounts and Google Calendars into the organizational one. And then we're working through a CRM selection, basically a volunteer database, and that's going to be a huge win because then we'll be able to start sending all of our volunteer onboarding data when you collect emails and names and the zip codes that they live in, like all the stuff that you use to manage your volunteers, be able to put it in one single source. And then we're also looking for an email replacement where that way Humanity Forward will be able to send out weekly emails if folks are opting into that. So and then events are coming as well, where this will be kind of a single source where the states will have admin level access over their people, but will very easily be able to have everyone in one place and not have some of the data duplication issues that we had during the campaign time. So if you are excited to work on any of these projects, come join us in the number 3 Tech Slack channel.
Awesome. Thank you so much again, Catherine, and thank you to the tech group. So candidate support.
Hi, I'm Rachel Davies from the Atlanta Yang Gang, also known as Atlanta UBI Project. I'm just reporting back from the candidate support Slack channel. In accordance with what we proposed last week, we updated the Slack channel just to reflect that we're, for the time being, delegating candidate support volunteer activities to Distributed Forward. But the Slack channel is still open for discussion and for advertising volunteer opportunities in the candidate support domain. I left the points up here if Drew was here and he wanted to talk about distributed forward candidate support needs again. I'm not sure if he's on.
Drew's not able to make it. He is doing Mother's Day celebrations.
Not sure.
If I can cover this, unless you
Sure.
would like. Okay, cool. So current candidate needs. There are 4 candidates that are hitting it pretty hard over in distributed forward. There are definitely other candidates that are also needing some help too. But right now we've got Heidi that's running in Oregon, David Kim, Jermaine Johnson, and Badron Khan. So if you join the distributed forward Slack, you can see where you can text bank and phone bank for these different candidates. There are also more candidates over there if you want to help them out as well. These are just the 4 ones that are actively running campaigns with GF.
All right. That's all I had for candidate support.
And we will also hopefully have some a lot more broad volunteer opportunities, not quite database, but like lists that everyone can see. And we're hoping to roll that out soon-ish. I'm going to be connecting with a couple of other people to try and get that going, Tom being one, I believe. And that kind of neatly dovetails into our organizational priorities. So we had our first weekly summit of all of the working groups and the board. We asked the working groups to send representatives and had a great update session, finding out what's going on in all of the different working groups. So we can also make sure that we're not duplicating each other's work. And it's also a place for people for working groups to come and say, hey, I'm having a problem with this. I'm blocked by this. And other people in other working groups might have a solution for them. So I'm really looking forward to that continuing. And at this first one, we set our organizational priorities for the next 1 to 2 months. They are to have a clear path for how people who are interested can get onboarded and involved. So this will involve connecting volunteer opportunities, comms, and onboarding. And that kind of also ties into the second one of volunteer outreach, recruitment, and mobilization. So that's more getting people who are on the outside in, and getting people who are in to do things, which I think is a very awesome follow-up to that. And then the third is having a clear org structure and a set of authority and decision processes that we can go through, so we make sure that we are having the best process going forward. And a lot of that has already started. Org management, we've got the structure subgroup that's got a org structure that's going to be hopefully coming out next week. And then we also have the convention and authority proposals from Decision Science that have been put into action. So we're already plugging away on these priorities. So yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Yenny. We're not reading through all this. This is for your own consumption when you are ready. But this is a list of all of our weekly meetings for different working groups. So if you heard something that you are super interested about joining, you can find when they meet, as well as the channel that they communicate in. And then we can talk a little about phone banking. So some of you may not know, some of you already do know, we are running a COVID Relief Fund phone banking project in direct communication and desire from Andrew Yang himself and Humanity Forward. So the goal is to call the 50,000 applicants, have a nice one-on-one chat, reach out, make sure they are feeling supported emotionally, and then give them $250. So it's fantastic. It's really rewarding and fun to do. We had a huge growth this week. So thank you to everybody who joined our team. We made more calls yesterday than we have in double what we've done in any one day. So it was amazing growth there. Self-onboarding should be launched early this week. So keep your eyes on Slack. And then if you are interested in joining, or if you are interested in, or if you know somebody who's interested in joining, please share the tiny URL .com/relief caller. That way we can send them that self-onboarding as soon as we have it launched. They don't have to be in our Slack channel yet. They'll get that directly. So we are super excited to grow some more this week. We hope that the self-onboarding process will help us grow even more. If you're interested in joining, we would love to have you there with us. Cool. Who wants to talk about volunteer opportunities?
That would be me. So we have, in addition to the relief calling, we're looking for humanity hang moderators. We're not necessarily seeking a whole bunch of people. If you're looking for something to be involved with and you're not sure, go to the relief calling. That's a far more urgent need. But the humanity hangs are run by Kimberly, I believe, and they are going to be they are a place for people that are not necessarily in our circles to come have communications, and it's a very like mental health, community health kind of thing. Then we've also got a list here of a bunch of the different working groups that I was able to come up with that are seeking members. Obviously, there are other working groups that probably are needing people as well. Hopefully this slide will get a little more updated as we go along. The major priorities are kind of reflected in here, but we also have a need for people in pretty much every working group to just get involved. We need more voices, so we'd be happy to have you. And then if you go to the next. Cool. So we also have a bunch of partner opportunities. One of these being one of our biggest pushes that we need people to do daily. Go to bailoutthepeople.com, send letters to your congressmen, do phone calls to them, check out what we're going to be trending. And this is all to try and get Congress to pass an emergency UBI bill. So we're trying to get Ro Khanna and Tim Ryan's Money to the People, Emergency Money to the People Act into the CARES 2 bill that is currently on the House floor being discussed in the House Ways and Means Committee. So if you have a congressman that you're in the district of that is on the House Ways and Means Committee, it is even more important for you to be doing this kind of action. So bailoutthepeople.com for that. We kind of went a little over distributed forward earlier with the candidate spotlight. That is where we are currently doing all of our candidate volunteer work, doing phone banking, text banking. And there's also a little bit of a community building on there for candidates as well. And then we've got Young Americans Coalition for Unity. It is the evolution of Youth for Yang, and they're doing great things with masks. And trying to get everyone energized and being active in politics from a young age. So I think that is it for volunteer opportunities. And I believe we don't have a coalition spotlight today.
All right. We do have Chelsea talking about COVID-19 impact and response. Chelsea.
Hello.
Hello.
What's up, Joe?
Hey. So, yeah, I wanted to talk about what basically Shake Up Congress, this protest and car parade is, and to give a little background. So 2 weeks ago, organizations such as Humanity First Movement, Humanity Forward, Economic Security Project, Income Movement, Fund for Humanity, US Big, and Justice Collaboration Initiative, or Justice Collective Initiative, I think, have all been working together to basically make this emergency UBI happen. So 2 weeks ago this started, and we had this huge 48-hour push because we heard that it fell off the table. We trended Congress past UBI. We started this letter campaign, and the next day Pelosi said that a guaranteed income was worth considering. Now we have proposals from Kamala Harris, Sanders, and Markey. We have Tim Ryan's and Ro Khanna's, which have, I think there's a cumulative of over 40 or more different representatives that have co-sponsored. And so emergency UBI happening, getting passed through this is on the table. And this is huge news considering we're in a pandemic right now. And so this next week is this weekend of action. And essentially, you can go to bailoutthepeople.com. That is what you want to share out to everyone. And we'll have like where they can participate. And then this link, project details, I can't plug it into the chat. So if someone is able to, that'd be awesome. This kind of details, we're basically going to be doing a car parade protest that we did that 2 weeks ago, but to have a full week to be able to plan this. And last time we had it in several cities. San Diego was able to actually get like a video, like media coverage on it. It was huge. Eileen asked why those are some flagship proposals. And so those are just some cities that participated last time. And Phoenix, Stacy is currently there visiting with her mother. And so she's going to be doing one in Phoenix. We have someone already planning to kind of do one in New York City. And then Kim will be San Diego and Portland. We really need so much grassroots organizing support to really make this huge. And yeah, and so yeah, we'd love for everyone to join us. It can really, like, we can make this happen. And this would be on Saturday. And if Stacy, she's on the call, if you'd like to chime in, that'd be awesome too.
Sure. Yeah. I think the biggest thing to just piggyback on what Chelsea just said, the reason that those are the flagship cities is because we have the strongest teams in place there to really push and drive both the organizing of the event itself, but also organizing press coverage. And so if more people, you know, one of the things that we want to make sure happens is that as many cities with kind of people who are excited about being a part of this and want to help organize it, that they add into the event. What was just pushed on here or put on here, the actionnetwork.org, is a link to the event series itself, so you can see locations. And if you're interested in hosting, it's very easy to go through the process of creating an event in your city. And as soon as that happens, we're able to work with you around kind of all the tools that we've built for press and for organizing outreach to your kind of community, basic income and Yang Gang community, as well as just thinking through the logistics of what's the best route, et cetera, to have the car parade based on kind of the goals and the plan. So we'll have meetings this week, Tuesday and Thursday, organizing and planning meetings. Right now we don't have a super strong team in DC, so we're going to be doing some outreach. If people here on this call know of some reliable people in DC that you think might be interested in helping support something there, that would be great, because obviously Congress is back in session, and there's been kind of an exodus back to DC of our leadership, and so we would love to be able to have a flagship event there as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chelsea and Stacy. That is a really awesome initiative that y'all have going on.
Yeah, I definitely would love to just like emphasize that this is like a political activism opportunity of getting out in the real world for the pandemic to really like make this happen. We have kind of a rare opportunity to either shave off of years and years that we could make a UBI happen, and that there are millions of people right now that are really struggling, that are being left without any advice, like support. I have friends in Arkansas, and while I'm in Oregon and able to get this like extra 600 unemployment, they're being forced to work, and they actually were told that if they file for unemployment and say that it's because of the COVID-19, that their governor told them that they would be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, and that Arkansas has actually prevented them from getting, like, they're not doing the extra 600 for unemployment either. So there are a lot of people out there that are going to really hurt if we can't make this happen.
Absolutely. Thank you so much again, Chelsea and Stacy. This work is extraordinarily important, and it is a really rare opportunity. Unfortunate opportunity, but it is an opportunity for us to really expedite that process. So thank you so much for all the work.
Join us in those channels at the top of the page if you want to get involved.
Beautiful. All right. So our coalition candidate spotlight tonight is
I think that's the next
slide. Is Heidi.
Okay.
Heidi. We don't have anything on here. We'll add a little bit of information for you. But if you want to go ahead and take it over and start letting us know what you're all about.
Hi. Yeah. Hi. Hello, everybody. And first of all, just thank you for all the work that you're doing. Really, it's so vital for the movement, and we need to be active on multiple fronts, both inside game, outside game, and everything else coming together. So definitely really appreciate what everybody is doing here and beyond. So thank you. So my name's Heidi Briones, and I'm running for Oregon's 1st congressional district, which spans all the way from the Pearl District, all the way to the coast in Astoria, through suburban areas, and down through rural areas as well. So it's a very diverse district in Oregon. I've been running since right after Andrew Yang suspended his campaign. I was involved in, volunteering for Andrew Yang in a few different capacities, and just a basic income advocate for a few years before that. And my story is pretty similar to most people's of my age and my generation. Essentially, I'm one of the normal people that Andrew talks about. Essentially, the economy that was promised to myself and us and others just wasn't really there for me when I graduated from university, like so many people experienced. Being that as of May, I still had, a great life. I decided to go and teach English abroad rather than go to law school. With the economy going down, I figured, well, now's a good time to learn how to teach. So for the better part of a decade, I was an educator and an English teacher in Taiwan, South Korea, Los Angeles, and San Francisco. While I was in San Francisco, I got introduced to the gig economy. I was a Lyft driver on the side because being a teacher just doesn't pay enough, sadly. So I was still out there, learning about technology and how things work. Eventually, it led me to working on a production line at Tesla and learning firsthand about automation and how jobs are being automated at multiple different levels, whether it's retail to actual production as well. So that's when I got deeply into basic income as more of like not just an academic concept, but actually an activism concept and something that we could actually make happen. Which led me to Andrew Yang, of course, and getting into the campaign. So when he left, my initial reaction was to get very sad, but then turn that sadness into some kind of action. And I felt compelled to run in my district. So I've been running a very successful campaign, I think, with very limited resources. I work full time. I actually work in the health insurance industry. So I know a lot about why we need a universal healthcare system, and that motivates me to keep going with my campaign as well. However, yeah, I definitely could use any help. I'm in the absolute final push of my campaign here. So what we need right now is mostly phone banking to reach some of the voters directly. I have done quite a bit of text banking, and there are still some opportunities. I believe there might be some. The problem with text banking is it goes so fast, which is great, but a lot of times people are like, I wanted to text bank, and I'm like, yeah, the texts were all gone in about an hour, which is awesome because we have a lot of people to help. But phone banking is something where you can always jump on the dialer, which is cool. And the more people that are on the dialer, the more quickly that you jump on another call. So essentially, I'm just trying to reach as many voters as I can with the message of universal basic income, universal health care, and democracy reform. And talking to them and hearing them, having them hear my story is very powerful. So that's essentially my background and who I am. And if you can't help me, it's great because it's the final push. People are mailing in their ballots right now in Oregon. And I believe the 12th is the deadline to actually mail it in. After that, you're looking at dropping it off, which you can still drop off on May 19th, but I'm at the final push. So any help would be awesome, but just thank you guys for what you're doing. And I'm happy to help you and be involved any way that I can. So I'm just happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Heidi. And Yenny put in the chat that Heidi2020.com/call is how you can make calls.
Yeah, it's very simple. Yeah, you just go there and the training's there. And then I believe there's frequently asked question document. And then the dialer access is there as well. And the script is super simple. Drew did an awesome job of putting that together technology-wise. So you can just follow. It's just very simple, a basic few questions. I think Chelsea here has even done it, so she can attest. But it's not too bad. So if you do want to make calls and if you would like to donate, I'd appreciate that too, of course.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining. Oh, go ahead.
Will you do me a favor when you refill?
Oh.
I think we have an unmute.
Background. I got it. Awesome. I thought we had a question for Heidi. If anybody does have any questions for Heidi before we hop into our Q&A, feel free to raise your hand. We can take a couple questions. Let me see. All right, Angelo, go ahead.
I just wanted to ask, how are the numbers looking so far, the poll numbers that you've seen?
Polls for my race? Oh, I wish we had polls. No, we don't have any polls. I looked, and even, I mean, in 2018, I think a couple districts ran congressional polls, which I'm sure were commissioned by the incumbents because they were probably scared and wanted to see what was going on. But yeah, we don't have any polls. If the incumbent with a lot of money doesn't commission one, it's very difficult to get one done because you essentially have to pay a marketing company quite a bit of money to do it. So unfortunately, I don't know where I'm standing right now. I have to just go based on data that we have. I mean, I get about 300 unique visitors to my website every day. So that's cool. We have really good Facebook ads going on, Facebook and Instagram, showing good results and click-through rates. Those are the data points that I have to work with. So overall, what I'm seeing looks positive, but I wish I knew where I stood exactly.
Awesome. Any other questions for Heidi? All right. Well, thank you again so much for joining us. If you have time this week, folks, make calls for Heidi, Heidi2020.com/call. Oh, no, okay, sorry, I was reading the chat at the same time. But thank you again so much, Heidi, for hopping on and joining us this evening and sharing a little bit about your campaign.
Yeah, thank you guys. Thanks for having me, and keep doing what you're doing. And I definitely, want to get more involved when I'm not actively campaigning in a lot of things. So just, I'll keep plugged in. So thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Have a good night. So we are to the final section of our call for open comments, questions, concerns, thoughts, feelings, all that good stuff. We have a whole 18 minutes for this, so we can get 18 hands through if we all stick to 1 minute. But if you would like to speak, you can raise your hand. In order to do that, if you've not been on one of these calls before, at the bottom of your screen, you should see participants. And then there's a raise hand button that you can do as well. And then also you can drop it in the chat, or you can wave your hands like this and we will call on you too. Colleen, you've got a hand. Oh, we can't hear you.
You're not
Colleen.
unmuted. I got you. You're on now.
Okay, thank you. First, an announcement. I'm going to start teaching meditation classes, and I'm putting into the chat box right now the Zoom link, because the first one is going to be tonight from 9:50 to 10:10. It's going to be a meditation for a deep sleep, and it's announced in the break room. I posted it in the break room around 7:30 tonight, so you'll see that there. And it's going to be a recurring class. All the information is in the thread posted in the break room, posted around 7:30 p.m. Second, I have a question for Catherine. in diversity inclusion, you mentioned that groups are suggesting guests for the podcast. So like I have in somebody I know who's a PhD who could speak on like disability and some of that advocacy. And I've reached out to him, he's interested. So what's the next step for that? Like, what's the timeline? How far out are they booked? Are they flown in? Do they need to make their own travel arrangements to go to New York to be on the podcast? Like, I don't know what expectations to share with people who I could be inviting, or suggesting to the podcast. So can you tell more about that?
Yeah, that's a good clarification. So basically, this is something that we don't have a connection with Yang Speaks. We're kind of building this as a proposal where, we're going to submit it up to them. So at this point, I would say it's probably not, the right move to like reach out to potential guests. It's more like we're thinking of like, what is the reason why these would be great potential guests? And then we send it up to Yang Speaks, and then they'll choose. So in some ways it might not create such a good bridge if we say, oh, we'd love you to be on this podcast, and then they don't invite them to be on the podcast. But if they do invite them to be on the podcast, it seems like they're doing it remotely, where they're connecting with people, the same way we're not necessarily probably Zoom, but something very similar to that, I think.
So if I brought people to Thursday night's meeting, then do you know if like Friday, Saturday, we'd be able to send some of that, their bios, their website to, you said is upstate to that, or is that it's not on a timeline rolling into motion so soon?
Yeah, I'd say for everyone that's listening into this, like our plan was, so each of those groups, we are kind of creating a pinned thread and then having a conversation. And then in our Thursday night, 9 to 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So earlier for those of you who are further west than Massachusetts and East Coast time. And I guess our thought process was we wanted to have like maybe about 2 or 3 of the prepared presentations. So when we sent the first list up, it would be easy for them to have an idea of like, oh, this is what they're doing. But we could change it and say, we just want to send a list of podcast guests. And then what I'd say the thing to do is, write up a little paragraph blurb of why they are a good fit for Andrew and why out of all of the people within the country, they would be, a good person. Like, do they have an audience that they would bring with them? Are they kind of the leader on the particular topic? But really the discretion is up to Andrew and Zach as to what, they want to put on the podcast. So we don't have control over that, but we can propose things to them.
Cool. Does that answer your question, Colleen?
Could I encourage them to like tweet Yang and, see, like
sure. They should
establish a connection?
Yeah, I think it's Yang Speaks is the podcast, and I'm gonna check on Twitter real quick and see if that's the tweet handle. But yes, if they want to tweet directly and say, "I'd love to be a guest."
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure.
Awesome. I don't see any other hands. Do we have any other questions, thoughts, feelings? I don't want to voluntold anybody, but Jim, I would love to hear a little bit about the proposal that you got through if you wanted to speak. You don't have to if you don't want to. No hands?
No, hi Brenna, it's Eileen. I just thought that I would see if anyone is interested. If you are Slack savvy, if you are currently on the Slack or had been on Slack before and you're familiar with it and you're in some of the working groups and you're interested in helping be part of our human side of onboarding, our Battle Buddy program, we're taking it off for our onboarding like 2.0. So if anyone is interested in joining myself and Gray in our Battle Buddy brigade, then you can sign up to be a Battle Buddy. So when people need help with Slack, then we can offer that human touch point. And you can just DM me in Slack if you're interested. Yeah, I think that's or hit up the chat. Okay, thanks.
Awesome. Thank you, Eileen. And thank you for kind of spearheading that program. I know Slack, I was overwhelmed by Slack when I got on. So it's a crazy beast to accomplish learning, but once you do, it makes a lot of sense. But thank you for spearheading that. And Jim, sorry I voluntold you, but your hand's up now. So go ahead and talk.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, I mentioned it in the chat. I wasn't sure how much time we had to cover other things, but if you know anybody who is a delegate at right now in Virginia, we have some district conventions going on this weekend and next weekend in Northern Virginia for our congressional districts where delegates are being chosen. I did sign up as a Biden delegate. And in my campaign message, I talked about my unapologetically about my history with the Yang Gang and supporting UBI. And I asked the question of Mike Bloomberg about value-added tax at the Fox News town hall he held in before Super Tuesday, and shared that video. I did submit a resolution that's in the chat with some of the text you might find helpful for any especially Democratic Party resolutions that you might have an opportunity to submit or share with people. Basically, I kind of kept it pragmatic. I didn't put a dollar figure in the resolution. I just said we're endorsing continuing cash payments throughout the COVID crisis, which is going to be a while anyway. And I'm sure next year, if there's a Democratic president, there'll be a whole new debate about what the next wave of UBI might be. So I kept it simple so people wouldn't quabble about the details. But surprisingly, they didn't edit my resolution much. And so I'm hoping to bring it to the state convention on June 20th. I'm not sure how many other conventions around the country we can get it in, but I figure this is a good start. If we can get it passed by Virginia. Virginia is a purple state. It's kind of it's a swing state. So if we can get some messages like this approved at this level, on the state level, I think that can help build momentum within the party for similar proposals. I've submitted DNC resolutions before and got them passed. Usually they're not too controversial, but I'm hoping that through this process we can maybe set ourselves up for the DNC platform, including some kind of UBI message. So anyway, if you have any questions about that stuff, feel free to hit me up in the chat, and hopefully I'll have an update on whether I became a DNC delegate. Hopefully I'll find out tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jim. That work is exceptionally important. So I really appreciate you doing that and being a resource for folks that are interested in doing the same. So thank you so much. All right. Any other hands? I'm not seeing any other hands.
I didn't see a hand, but I was hoping if I could pressure Kimberly, if I could volunteer her as well. Stuff.
We're volunteers tonight.
What should I be speaking on? Humanity Hangs, yes. Yes, Humanity Hangs. They're a lot of fun. People should come and participate or volunteer to moderate. It is going to be some really cool times, and we've had some really awesome fun times. Like I've heard people reconnecting with people from the campaign, and getting people's emails and getting more involved with creating relationships outside of just that space. I ended up with somebody randomly in the same room that I had the very first hang, the last one I was in. So every once in a while you get some repeats, and then you're like, oh, how are you? Let's catch up. I have invited a lot of people from these hangs into our workspace. So every time at the end of each hang, I'm bringing in, and I know all the other moderators are also tagging in any number of people and popping their emails in, and we're bringing more people on board. So I encourage everyone to participate in it. It's a lot of fun to just relax and hang out and talk, let the conversation flow. We are toying with doing a couple of like more structured things, but we're definitely going to feel everybody out on that stuff and see how we move forward. So please come and hang out.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Kimberly. All right, we've got Chelsea, and then we have Burke, and then Angelo. We've got hands down.
Hey, yeah, I just wanted to, I realized that the link for kind of like Shake Congress up, I couldn't like open and share, but I wanted to like connect the dots of what exactly like we Kimberly, myself, Liz, and Stacy have kind of like worked on is the Shake Congress up is every day leading up to it at 5 p.m. to signal to the like 9 to 5. We're going to be taking like an empty like piggy bank or empty can and basically like shaking it with coins outside our apartments, like make noise to tell people that we all deserve like recurring cash payments. And then that action will kind of like we hope can grow and kind of build a community effort. And then for the UBI car parade, we're going to be taking them and kind of doing like a human story memorial on Congress, like on any of the government buildings, like doors or front steps. And we'll be printing out the letters that we've all been signing and sending them to then like leave on their steps. And yeah, I really like think that we could really shock Congress this way in kind of like the contrast to these protests that we're seeing. Because ultimately like these people that are protesting, I think, is because they don't have financial security and they're like tying this so strongly to just like workism and they're trying to like go back to work. But what they need is like financial security, and we could actually like make that happen through the next stimulus ad. But that's kind of like the idea.
Awesome. Thank you, Chelsea. So Burke and then Angelo.
Hello all. I was just coming in real quick just for the viewers that are following my campaign. I was just going to give you a little bit of some updates. I've been living on the phone. I basically got the numbers for the close to 3,000 people that have voted consistently in the last three primaries, and I've been going through the list one by one. One of the advantages of running for a smaller state level than a larger congressional level is within the next 2 or 3 days, I'm going to get through that whole list. And I've had some remarkable results. I mean, sure, some people might be just telling me what they think I want to hear, but once I get about 3-4 minutes of somebody on the phone, most people are agreeing to vote for me. And the ballots have arrived here in Nevada. I personally got mine yesterday, and I did check, and yes, my name is on it, and they even spelled it correctly. So I'm just sort of happy to report that I mean, I'm essentially now doing this single-handedly. Instead of going door to door, I'm just going phone number to phone number. And so far, I've had some really good results. I mean, I probably had over 300 people at least that say they're going to. And I also have a small advantage, which I mean, it's kind of a weird one, but it kind of is. And the incumbent from before, for 3 years in a row, not the one who's on right now, but previous to that, he was very loved. We share the same last name. Now, I do have to tell people, yes, I have nothing to do with him, and we're completely separate people, but a lot of these people are quite elderly, and I have a feeling I have just an advantage on name recognition, which is probably not politically correct to say, but it's the truth, and I've heard it a lot since I've been on the phone. But that's basically it, and thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Burke. And great job making all those calls. I know that it is extremely important, but also extremely draining. So great work doing that. And best of luck in your election. I'm really excited to get to see multiple UBI candidates up for election in the next like week or so. It's really pretty awesome to see. So Angelo, your hand is up. We have 2 minutes left, and then we turn into a hang. So go ahead and take it away, Angelo.
Okay, just going to give you guys an update on what's going on with the Yang Gang Goes to Congress working group. So we just added Carl Winderquist. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him. He's one of the foremost authorities on economics in the country. So we just got him added to our speakers list, as we do have Scott Sanson's locked in. So we're going to be moving forward with getting everyone the areas that they're going to be speaking on organized, and we're going to start doing rehearsals coming up in the next couple weeks.
Awesome, Angelo. Thank you so much. That's also, again, I love seeing all this like political activism happening, and actually going to Congress is an incredible undertaking, and congratulations on nailing down 2 incredible speakers for that too. So fantastic work over in Yang Gang Goes to Congress. And you will be on next week's slides. I apologize that you were not on this week's slides. We will fix that for the future. All right, we've got 1 minute left. Colleen,
question from Catherine to Angelo is just, is this in front of the House or Senate, and in a committee or what?
We're working to speak before the Senate.
Awesome. Any other questions for Angela? All right. Before I pass it over to Colleen to close us out for the evening, a couple reminders for you all. 1, if you want to run for a seat on the board, our election is next Sunday, the 17th. Please submit your application by midnight tonight, Pacific time, not Eastern time, to be put on that ballot. And then the other reminder that I had was, it's Happy Mother's Day to everybody who is a mother of humans, of pets, of plants. Happy Mother's Day. And then Colleen, go ahead and take us home. Colleen? Oh, you're muted, Colleen.
Oh,
I unmuted
okay.
you.
There you go.
All right, thank you. So I just have instead of saying what I was going to say, really, I just want to ask a question to Chelsea in response to what you were saying about workism and the protesters. I want to add to that, but could I just add to that is there a thread you have somewhere about that where I could post my thoughts instead of saying them right now because we're out of time?
I haven't made kind of a thread about that, but I do know we have some people also that are kind of working to coordinate like how we can basically get conservatives like on the side of UBI. And so Fun for Humanity with Giselle Huff, she's been kind of interested in that, along with like James Treacle. And you could post that in the Congress UBI War Room chat or Slack channel.
Okay. Congress UBI War Room.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Of course.
I'll add that channel.
Beautiful. Thank you all so much again. Hang out after if you choose. Happy Mother's Day. Have a fantastic rest of your evening, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye. And remember to vote.
Bye.
Voting's important.
Bye, Yang Gang. Happy Mother's Day.
Happy Mother's Day, everyone.
Happy Mother's Day, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for getting on a call tonight.
Yeah.
And making that happen.
I kind of want to stay for a hang a little bit. Who's all staying?
Yeah. I'm here.
I'm here.
I think I'm going to smoke some weed.
Then folks can go over to Colleen's meditation Zoom.
I know. Wait. So it's Eastern time, right? What time Eastern?
Yeah.
Time?
Yeah,
Yeah,
basically in
it's
less than 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. Can you meditate when you're stoned? Is that a thing?
I think that's like ideal.